Hello everyone. I am making this video to share my personal thoughts on claims made by Brother Nathanael in the interview which we published on our BitChute channel several days ago. I will just share my concerns about Brother Nathanael's claim related to Russia, to his over-positive view on future of America, or to his claim about Europe being lost. First, about Russia. Brother Nathanael claims that Russia is beyond control of international ruling elite because they oppose openly the leftist madness which dominates in Europe and North America, and they have their own independent central bank, which is true, in fact, to an extent. Yes, Russia is opposing the leftist madness, but I think it's because of same strategy as they apply it in my country, Poland, where our government also openly opposes the madness from the left, just because of how nationalistic and traditional, in general, our two nations are. We do not have yet developed this wild, degenerate mentality, which is popularized and commonly accepted or tolerated in the Western countries. So I think our puppet governments are not promoting openly any type of degeneracy, and they also oppose them for a show to please majority of the nation. It's a form of a game, a manipulation. So that's what I think is also happening in Russia today. An opposition to the left from the government for a show, because the nation itself has little tolerance for the leftist madness in the public sphere. Generally, the nations of the Eastern Europe are like 10-20 years behind the Western countries, so we will catch up very fast with all this leftist madness. I mean, it's already happening in Poland as well, but not to such degree as it is visible in the Western European countries or in North America. So we will catch up with time. And the second point about independent central bank of Russia is also true as well, to an extent. The National Central Bank, relatively free and even opposing to the Central Bank of Europe or Fed in the United States. But as I even illustrated this on my graphic from the video called Why Political Solution is Impossible in Our Current World System, the national central banks are the banks of the lower rank in the central bank hierarchy. There are few major central banks around the modern world. For example, one in North America, one in Europe, one in Asia, and as we may see here, they all respond to Bank of International Settlements. And as you can see, Russian Central Bank is under jurisdiction of BIS as well. So, as I said, the Russian Central Bank is independent to an extent, but at the end they respond to the same overlords as everybody else, at least according to the procedures of the BIS bank itself. There are few more reasons why I think Brother Nathanael is wrong about Russia, that is, Russian oligarchs. We're sure Putin punished one, but so did Trump by getting rid of Epstein. But most of remaining oligarchs are also with Middle Eastern origins, and they hold lots of power in the country. There is even an autonomous region in the Far East Russia, which is it was dedicated originally for the chosen people itself. Today the lands are mostly owned by a few ruling chosen people elite in the region. So yes, the influence of chosen people in Russia is highly visible, and they have enormous power in the economy ground and in the banking sphere. Another argument was that Russia is constantly attacked on international arena, even by sanctions from United States. And well, it's not an argument at all, because China is attacked as well. And please notice, Brother Nathanael said China is controlled by them as well. And sometimes even European Union is being attacked by USA. So no, this is not a valid argument to claim that Russia is an independent country, because for centuries they've been creating and managing conflicts between cattle states and the cattle nations. One reason for it is because it's distraction. International tensions are like a sport, keeping population focused around enemy hostile nations and distracting them from the real problems. And the second is because there is a hierarchy, a clear hierarchy of countries which are favored by them, and countries which are more like a testing ground, where they test how far they may push the cattle on the edge before they will actively rebel against the oppression from their own state. And for example, Japan is their testing ground for all the banking reforms and regulations and policies which they introduce in the future in Europe or North America. All the financial experiments related to banks are performed in Japan. Ukraine looks like a testing ground how much you may enslave and economically pin down population before they will actively rebel against the government. And it's a country which belongs to our Western world, a European nation. Also, life there is very difficult because people work a lot. They earn very little compared to the rest of the Western world. And they also pay more for even basic products like milk and bread compared to other more wealthy Western countries where people earn more money. And they also test how police state system might be introduced and how it will affect the general population. I would say they are testing that in China or Belarus because of how the situation looks like in those countries. And obviously the most privileged country on the planet, except country of the chosen people in the Middle East, is obviously United States, because that's the main bodyguard and servant of the chosen people for the dirty military work across the globe. So it must be the most comfortable, privileged country to live for the cattle. And please notice they are using this status of United States and American way of life as an argument to mobilize the general population to support any military action in case if the American way of life will be threatened by some rebellious countries or situations across the globe. So if there is need to send US military for some action somewhere, it's always justified in the government by saying that it's a threat for world peace and American way of life. But we know that other agenda might be pushed under this excuse. And my final claim that Russia is not independent would be that Russia is doing too much to please country of the chosen people in the Middle East and to get along with the chosen people. Sure, Putin must care about his image, not to be called anti-Semi, but Putin could just be ignoring them instead of getting along with them or pleasing them by, for example, applying law forbidding questioning or researching some events which took place during World War II. He was not obliged to introduce this law. It was not introduced before. So something had to mobilize him to take action for it. I wonder what. So Putin introduced a law which allows the chosen people to legally rob various Western nations for things which apparently they contributed to or participated somehow during World War II. So obviously this law is to protect this hollow business industry. But there is more. Russia is importing migrants on a mass scale, and large portion of Russian population today are Muslims. So except opposing the degeneracy from the West, which Poland is doing in a very much same manner, the general agenda of international ruling elites is applied in Russia as well. And from interesting facts, my country Poland is also importing Muslim migrants from East Asia legally as a needed labor force, because we got apparently shortages in the country. Now, here are my theories. Either Russia is under control of some rival faction to the Zionists from the United States and Europe, or all those attacks on each other between Russia and America is only for a show, to keep tension and keep regular people hostile to each other and busy with something else rather than what is really going on in our world. Because both countries, Russia and America, are great friends to the country of chosen people in the Middle East. This is what they got in common. As long as regular people are fighting each other, it's fine, at least until it benefits the groups of chosen people. And some may say that Russia is sabotaging their moves in the Middle East. No, it's all the destabilization, so it's just a contribution and areas of influence between America and Russia, but the main goal, which is destroying the Arabic countries in the Middle East, the Muslim countries, is being accomplished either way. So maybe Brother Nathanael is right about Russia, but I disagree with that. I will remain cautious with any judgment, and the only way to truly tell is to expand our operation to Russia in the future and see if they will remain neutral or welcoming because we will be benefiting their economy, or if they will start attacking us as well for no legitimate reason at all. Time will tell, assuming we will ever reach this stage of the operation when we will be expanding our business operation on the countries in the East. The second thing, which I am not so positive about as Brother Nathanael, is that situation will resolve itself positively in the future for America. As soon as the government pins down regular property owners low enough to make regular Americans rebel and say stop. I don't think it's going to happen, because I don't think the puppet governance will put so much pressure on citizens to make them rebel, keeping them relatively happy with illusion of freedom and ownership over their property. But at the same time, they will continue exploiting our labor as long as possible, and even if it will happen, I don't think it will be enough to liberate our countries from chains of international financial institutions, for reasons which I explained many times in my videos about those subjects. And the third thing, which I disagree with Brother Nathanael, is that Europe is lost. The situation in Europe and in America is very much the same, except maybe that Americans still have their constitution, which is being constantly violated, by the way, and they still have guns. But except that, they continue to live and do as they are told by mass media, puppet politicians, or leftist indoctrinating education. So those are my disagreements with Brother Nathanael. I do not have any objections to all his other claims, and I do claim he's a reliable source of information, and he is helping us a lot, so we do appreciate it. And I will recommend everyone to check his material, and in general, my different view on subject of Russia is irrelevant to the situation, because, as I said, we will test Russia in the future. So I hope I clarified my stance on those subjects and his claims from the interview. Thank you for listening.